to today's edition of the AII, watching stock news, deal tracker, and advancements in artificial intelligence. This is a special edition of the AII in which we speak to Jay Hutton, the CEO of VSBLTY Groupe Technologies Corp. VSBLTY is the world leader in proactive digital display, which transforms retail and public spaces as well as place-based media networks with SaaS-based audience measurement and security software that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning. VSBLTY is traded on the CSE under the ticker symbol VSBY.
Jay, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So VSBLTY recently went public with a listing on the CSE. Can you tell listeners about the listing and give us a brief history of the company leading up to it?
Sure. Like any small company, you kind of have several important milestones that you gauge and measure. And so our history was we formed in 2014, 2015, around that time. And our objective was to create what in the software business we call a minimum viable product. So what is the minimum acceptable, commercially acceptable product that we could deliver to our marketplace? And so we built that. We used internal funds ourselves to build that. We wanted to de-risk the category. We wanted to de-risk the product, take us to a point where we were ready to sort of accept external cash on a basis and proposition that had already been more or less fortified. That's what we did for our first 3 years. And included in that was landing a couple of key customers, some of the largest consumer packaged goods companies in the world that frankly helped us vet our product and perfect our product. And so that's what you do in the first several years. And part of what I wanted to do as a guy that's sort of been around capital markets and software all my life is I wanted to make sure that by the time we were ready to accept money from other sources that we had kind of vetted it ourselves and we had put our money where our mouth is and we were able to sort of make those statements. So the entire executive management team has invested in this company with cash. And that's somewhat atypical. I mean, not completely atypical, but for our company, we're $3.3 million in, and before we accepted $1 of external cash, we were able to ensure that we could bring that money in a way that we could make legitimate statements about the validity of the product and validity of the marketplace. It's kind of an obscenity to think of a small company creating a category, but that's precisely what we did.
Talk a bit about the evolution of the company's technology in that period.
The company first started with myself and my co-founder, Tim Huckabee. He's a lifelong software guy, ex-Microsoft, old guy, 50-plus like me, and sort of been around a lot of software companies. And what we had decided to do in 2011, actually, is put some of our own capital into what we felt was a small little incubator. And we scanned the horizon for where we felt there was marketplaces that had atrophied that could benefit by some, first world software development. And when we did that sort of back of the envelope market analysis, we discovered that digital signage as a category had really atrophied, and the biggest players, the leaders in that category, had really failed to innovate their product for a dozen or so years. So our first product was built for visual display management in indoor and outdoor spaces. Think of an electronic billboard. Our first technology was that. And then the evolution, and we got lucky, really. And, it takes a good amount of luck sometimes to look brilliant. But when we then saw that digital display was pivoting to measurement, and what that means is this. There's multiple types of digital display in the world today. You'll see them in billboards, next to a highway, and you'll see them in the store, you'll see them in the theater, you'll see them in the airport, transit hub, etc. All of those displays are powered by a piece of software called the content management system. Our first product was a content management system, but it included interactivity, the ability to do touchscreens. Think of a large iPhone. So the ability to launch different types of unique creative with a touchscreen was what we brought to the marketplace as our first product. The second product is responding to a significant problem in the category, and that is the people that buy, the media buyers that buy billboards or various different types of digital platforms, buy it on the basis of establishing a return on investment. And so the historical way of measuring the efficacy of a digital billboard is co-eds with clipboards, counting cars and counting people. What a great opportunity to introduce software that was able to assess the audience, count bodies, count cars, count sentiment, count gender, count age range, all the things that artificial intelligence and computer vision have brought to the market. So our first step was digital display, and our second step was really cool technology that leverages cameras and computers to not statistically, but actually measure real audiences. Not just the number of people, but the sentiment, the age range, all the things that I mentioned moments ago. That was our second product. And as a natural progression onto the third product was, well, since I'm now measuring a 35-year-old male in a public space, what if I was able to include the biometric profile of an individual that I'm looking for as a security risk in that same public space? So maybe instead of looking to determine if that person a 35-year-old male or a 45-year-old male, I'm saying, do I see that biometric profile anywhere in my database? And if I do, I'm going to return a result like a confidence rating. I have an 85% certainty that the person that's in front of this sign right now is Joe. The retail application of that is Minority Report, right? It's playing personalized, customized advertising and promotion to an individual. This is on a consent and opt-in basis, so don't get too freaked out about it. But then the separate piece is, what if that guy's a serial shoplifter? And every time we pick him up, we take an iPhone picture of him, we put that in our database. Well, now I can be proactive with a security application running in my monetized displays. People are paying for that displays. I don't need to make money on them because they're already providing that ability. But now I've got a security utility that I can overlay on top of that efficacy. And that's really the story of the company. Visual display, content management systems, analytics, telling a brand like a Coca-Cola exactly who saw your sign, when they saw it, what was their sentiment when they responded to it, all that in-depth audience analytics that only the internet has approached and really hasn't even delivered the same level. And then, of course, the last piece, which is adding the security piece. That's the story of the company right there.
Talk about the two international partnerships the company announced last month.
So because I'm old, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. And I guess that's what they call wisdom. Hopefully I have a little bit of that. One of the things that I am now convinced of is the best way to build international distribution is to be very prescriptive on the type of partners you're looking for. Have a checklist. And when we went to our international partners, now we have Mexico, we have Caribbean, and we launched in February both Italy and /EU and South Africa. And we've become smarter at what we're looking for. And the objective is to be able to do international expansion without an enormous commitment to resources. Those two partners individually, Atlas Ventures is a Milan, Italy-based technology accelerator. So they're exactly what we need. So their job is to find locations where we can augment our technology, or our technology can be used to augment an existing technology and channels to market. And their opportunity for us is, they take a margin out of it, which is fine from my perspective because I don't have to I would rather have a variable expense than a fixed expense. And so that's why we did it with them. And they're, of course, enormously big in retail, which is our primary market. In South Africa, our partnership is with Onyx Cognivas out of Johannesburg. What's really unique about them is they're an existing 7-10-year-old business that are in our category. They do security, they do digital out of home, the billboard thing, and they do in-store media. Every part of that is relevant to visibility. The best part about Cognivas Onyx is that they already have an existing business, our existing revenue stream with existing partnerships with our competitors. So the advantage to us with them was that they're unhooking their relationship with our competitors and connecting with us. So to us, it's a win on multiple levels. Look for that particular partnership to go to revenue very, very rapidly because they're on the ground running already. There's no ramp-up time.
So VSBLTY also demonstrated 2 new products at the ISE show in Amsterdam also last month. Give listeners an outline of these and the role of the AI tech in advertising.
The 2 partnerships or 2 products that we announced came as a result of partnerships. The first with Louvre Group, LU-VE Group out of Milan, Italy, brought to us by our partners at Atlas. The relationship between Louvre Group and VSBLTY, adjudicated and managed and counseled by Atlas, is an OEM relationship. So they build a product called the Magic Mirror. A magic mirror is, if you can imagine, an elevator with one entire wall is a digital display behind a mirror. So if you walk into that elevator, you don't know that it's a digital display. It just looks like a mirror. But when you get going, it starts to play content to you. Hey, there's a nightclub on floor 4. The gym is in floor 5. Here's the buffet that happens on Sunday. And oh, by the way, there's Louis Vuitton outlet on the main floor of the hotel, etc. The opportunity here is to deliver advertising and promotion to a captive audience. You're not going anywhere if you're in an elevator. So we know that because of historical impact and because of other companies that have done similar things in the elevator, not in a digital format, but certainly in a printed format. You've seen that. I'm certain you have. We deliver this in a digital format. In addition to that, we measure the entire experience. We count how many people are in the elevator. We can count the genders, age range, all the things that we had talked about before. So to the advertiser, I'm giving depth of experience. I'm giving some idea of how their message is being received and by demographic. Of course, as part of that product is the ability to now integrate emergency response. One of the crazy things about elevators is to get stuck from time to time, and people panic. When they panic, they sometimes try to get out of the elevator. You know, the fatalities that occur when people are trying to leave a trapped elevator, it's really kind of remarkable and sad and tragic, of course. So we've got this ability with our technology to open up a two-way video stream to people that are in the elevator in the event that it breaks down. So, hey, cool down, everything's fine, people are on their way. Don't try and attempt to leave the elevator. It's just going to put yourself at risk. You know, we think we're going to be 15 minutes to a resolution. Just adding that capability alone within the construct of a digital sign is enormously valuable from a public safety point of view. The second product we released at ISE is something we call the digital shelf strip and header. This is a LCD panel, a narrow panel that goes on a shelf strip in retail. And you think, well, how would that be interesting? When you walk down the aisle of a retail, the objective is to slow you down. From a promotion and advertising perspective, I want to create speed bumps. We call that disrupting the path to purchase. And so the objective here is we want to deliver to you messages while you're walking down the aisle. And when we can create movement, video movement, you know, human beings, we still have a portion of our brain is reptile in orientation. So when we see movement, we look. Not some of the time, not a portion of the time, but all of the time. We may look for a second or two, but we always look. And when we look, our technology can deliver to you a message. That message might be about a coffee or peanuts or Hershey chocolate. But we do that in a digital format in the aisle, and the objective is to slow down the path to purchase. Brands, big brands, are incredibly excited about this technology because A, it delivers the ability to drive a message to a consumer in retail, but B, we have the ability now to measure that experience. What is the response? Did the person slow down? If the person did slow down, how long did they dwell? How long did they gaze? If they touched, where did they touch? This kind of information represents a brand new area for retail and a place where brands are really excited at the moment because they've got a lessening number of places where they can spend their advertising dollars in a way that they get clear and well-articulated measurement.
Talk a bit about VSBLTY's involvement with AI in security applications a bit more and products such as facial analytics.
Well, it started with retail, but our first retail customers came to us and said, well, and I referred to this, or at least peripherally referred to it earlier. They came to us and said, you know, since you're picking up gender, age range, sentiment, all these things using computer vision, does your technology have the ability to access and evaluate a database, a biometric database? Can I, in real time, teach your cameras to look for a person of interest in retail? Why is that interesting? Well, many shoplifters are serial shoplifters. They'll go to the same place over and over again and steal stuff. And the methodology to deal with that right now is the security people taking a picture of them and then including that dossier in a clipboard that they carry around with. So if they see someone in retail that they vaguely recognize, they can reference printed materials that says, okay, this is that person, or I believe that this is that person. We believe that's the weakest link of security. So where we've taken our business is we've automated that process. We're not going to rely upon a security guard to do the analysis himself and then do an ID check, do a confirmation in store. We believe that that's the weakest link. So what about using software to do facial analytics and provide a confidence rating? I have 93% certainty that the person we have in view at this location is the same person that stole beer last Friday, whatever. That's the kind of information that utilizes software to remove the human dependency. The human at the end of the day still makes the decision. Is 93% confidence enough for me to act on that information? But this is the benefit of the security. And the last piece of that, and this will be patently obvious, we have places where we're just deploying our security solution because two reasons. One, most legacy closed-circuit television cameras are in 60-foot ceilings, so high that looking down at a face is nearly impossible. Looking at a forehead is possible, looking at the back of a head is possible, but not looking at a face. But when we park cameras in digital signs, those digital signs, by reasons of delivering that message to the audience, are at 9 foot or 8 foot or 7 foot. Much more attractive in terms of its efficacy or its potential efficacy for facial recognition. There's no amount of people that could monitor the kind of explosive growth that's happening in closed-circuit TV in the world today because we're tragically living in a far more insecure world. So the idea, the hypothesis is let the software interpret the context of the video. And if the software finds something that's worthwhile for the operator to look at, it will flag the operator to look at it. It'll send a notification. So that's why artificial intelligence is so critical to us. Capabilities that weren't even possible in 2007, 2008 are now possible at a scaled level.
Tell listeners about the company's relationship with Intel and specifically the use of their OpenVINO platform and VSBLTY's Edge software.
What we like most about Intel is we think that they're incredibly capable at identifying talent. And they've really taken us under their wing as a small company. I mean, Intel has this enormous and 35, 40-year reputation of being very, very good at identifying unique capabilities, especially within the smaller companies, the independent software vendors. That's certainly what we are. And we've had a long relationship with Intel, culminating in this development, which started last July of 18, where they approached us and they said that they would like us to develop using a platform that they had, a hardware platform that they had perfected called OpenVINO. This is the ability to take algorithms that were recently or that were historically running in very large cloud compute infrastructure. Think of racks of servers in a cloud, in a data center, taking that capability and moving it to the edge. And there was a lot of people that felt that was almost impossible. I mean, from a physics point of view, it was impossible. From a computational point of view, it was impossible. But we began that process with them, and it resulted in the delivery of our first OpenVINO-based product in January of this year, where we're doing all the algorithms. If I'm looking for persons of interest in a retail outlet or at an airport, the math, the algorithms run in the cloud. So I'm paying for power, I'm paying for compute. I have the latency, the network latency of going up to the cloud and coming back from the cloud to deliver a result. So there's delay associated with that and cost associated with that. But the hypothesis was, what if we could run that same capability on very low-cost edge computers? So not the cloud, but on the edge. And that's what OpenVINO represented to us. It gives us greater precision. It gives us much better speed. And most importantly, because I am the CEO of the company, it gives us much lower cost. This gives us the ability to attach our capabilities to places that we would never thought of doing so before. Scaled applications where a price point that was cloud-driven would be impossible, just wouldn't pencil. So we've got this enormous opportunity, and we have a lot of good things to say about our friends at Intel because they've been right beside us, supporting us all the way. And as a commercial partner, they've been outstanding as well.
So in closing, on a personal level, what drives you to get up every day and lead this company?
Any company that grows sort of organically with, 1, 2, 3 founders, we've been on this journey technically for 4 years, but, as anything, it incubates considerably before that. I have strong relationships with my co-founders, and we all believe passionately in our goals and objectives. Yeah, sure, there's a little dysfunction from time to time, as there would be in any family of any type, but we're all passionate, unrelenting, and committed to the goal of the company. So that's what drives me. And I made a decision a while ago. I was going to work with people that I loved and cared for, and I've had that opportunity at VSBLTY, and that's what gets me up every day. Smart, driven, and committed people, and a team with a clear and well-articulated vision and direction.
And that's it for today's AII. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor for this podcast, contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website. And this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded all investment involves risk and possible loss of investment. To hear more InvestorIdeas.com podcasts, please visit InvestorIdeas.com/audio. And a reminder, you can also hear our podcasts on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, and Google Play Music. To learn more about VSBLTY, please visit VSBLTY.net. For disclosure purposes, VSBLTY is a PR news and social media feature company on InvestorIdeas.com.